all I hear is repeal and replace. And then I get there, and I said, where's the bill? I want to sign it, first day. And they don't have it. They said, Mitch, get to work and let's get it done. They should have had this last one done. They lost by 1 vote. For a thing like that to happen is a disgrace. I'm very disappointed in Mitch. But if he gets these bills passed, I'll be very happy with it, and I'll be the first to admit it.
A very loquacious President Trump today, talking to reporters a couple of times at length about a number of issues, including that dust-up that he has with the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of his own party. He usually lets his fingers do the talking. Today he did the talking to reporters, but earlier he did tweet this. He said, "Can you believe that Mitch McConnell, who has screamed repeal and replace for 7 years, couldn't get it done? Must repeal and replace Obamacare. Mitch, get back to work and put repeal and replace, tax reform and cuts, and a great infrastructure bill on my desk for signing. You can do it." We'll start there in this wide-ranging Q&A today. Let's bring in our panel. In Washington, David Cantonese, senior politics writer for U.S. News & World Report. Molly Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist. And here in Chicago, Brunel Donald Shea, former vice chair of diversity outreach for the Trump campaign and a proud Chicago resident. Molly, let me just start with you. Your thoughts about the President, Senate Majority Leader McConnell dust-up and what that potentially means for the fall.
Right. Well, the entire reason why Donald Trump had any chance during his candidacy in 2016 was widespread Republican frustration with Republican leadership. So I'm not sure if it's entirely surprising to see Trump continue to embody that frustration that people have. McConnell told people that Trump had unrealistic expectations at how much could be done in terms of repealing Obamacare. But if that's true, that's completely the responsibility of men like Mitch McConnell, who for 7 years promised Republican voters that if you put them in power and if you gave them a Republican president, that they would in fact repeal this legislation. So I think this is something that a lot of people are feeling frustration with, and they would just like to see Congress getting some good stuff done.
David.
Look, Trump is mostly right on this, on the content. The Senate did have a lot of time to get their act in order, and they couldn't get it done, mainly because they didn't think they'd be in this position, mainly because they didn't think President Trump would ever be President Trump. So I think he's right, and he's smart to run against Congress, given his own approval rating. He wants to blame Congress, run against this system. But it's going to come to the head in the fall because there's a debt ceiling that's going to need to be raised, and he's going to depend on Mitch McConnell to get it done. There are already Republicans who are saying they're not, conservative Republicans who say they're not going to go along with it. Trump's going to have to do this. He's going to need the Senate Majority Leader, not only on the debt ceiling, but on anything else he wants to do, whether it be infrastructure or tax reform. So I think short-term game, but long-term problematic to poke at the Majority Leader.
Brunel, what about that? I mean, you have big issues here, and they are pending in the fall, but we know this president is not like other presidents in how he deals with things and how he talks about things.
Well, what I would say is this. Our president, the political rock star that he is, hit the ground running, okay? Got us out of TPP, out of that Paris Accord, 1 million jobs in the economy, stock markets booming, military stronger. We've got the illegal aliens down 78%, refugees down 50%. He's doing his job. And so what happens is that he walked in there with the decision that he was going to make America great again. And Mitch McConnell and Speaker Ryan and all the Republicans and the obstructionist Democrats and the obstructionist Republicans need to get on board that train. And it's simply an issue of Donald Trump is going to make America great again. We're going to help him do that. And that's what Congress is there for. They ran on the repeal and replace 7 years. He's only been here 6 months. Why hasn't it been done? He's got all the chips in play. He's got the majority in the Senate, majority in the House, and he's the president. So there's absolutely no reason for this not to have gotten done.
So there's a lot of news to get through in this long kind of Q&A. Another big topic, obviously, was North Korea, adding after the fire and the fury comments a couple of days ago, the warning to North Korea, kind of stepping up on that today. Take a listen.
If anything, that statement may not be tough enough.
What would be tougher than fire and fury?
Well, you'll see. He does something in Guam. It will be an event the likes of which nobody's seen before, what will happen in North Korea. He's not going to go around threatening Guam, and he's not going to threaten the United States, and he's not going to threaten Japan, and he's not going to threaten South Korea. No, that's not a dare, as you say. That is a statement of fact.
Well, Dave, he is threatening. This is Kim Jong-un. He is threatening these things. He is threatening Guam. They're even issuing statements that they may launch missiles against that. So what about the rhetoric back and forth between the two leaders of these two countries?
Well, look, North Korea has been threatening the United States for decades. The past 3-4 administrations, they have used bellicose rhetoric. The difference this time is President Trump and his rhetoric. We've never had a president respond in this forceful way. What I think is interesting is that it's a new tact, it's a new approach. You've got Republicans backing Trump saying, look, we've tried sort of negotiations, we've tried to play nice, it hasn't worked. This is a different president who's going to do it. But in talking to military analysts and foreign policy analysts all day, they now think that North Korea's actions are more predictable than Trump's, which really makes him the X factor in this game. The North Korean attitudes have basically been the same. They have threatened Guam in the past before. They've never pulled the trigger on any of their threats. What the question is, will Trump?
Molly, you know, he was with his national security team. Among the other news, he said that he has the confidence in his national security advisor, McMaster. Your thoughts on these comments and where we stand on North Korea?
I would actually disagree with David about this rhetoric being altogether that different. It's actually similar to what you heard from Bill Clinton when he was president. It's definitely similar to what you heard from Senator John McCain when he was running for the presidency. The difference might be two things. One, people might believe Trump more than they believe some of these previous comments, and also that North Korea is clearly further along than they were when those comments first started coming from the United States, warning North Korea off of their nuclear ambitions. But in general, there is so much going on here, and also I thought was interesting was the discussion of Afghanistan and whether or not the U.S. is going to do this thing that we seem to do every time there's a new administration, which is decide again that we need to be involved in some protracted battle there. That's been 16 years since we went in saying that we would overthrow the Taliban and replace it with a Western-style democracy, and apparently that still seems to be the plan, the only problem being how much money it is and the lack of public sentiment in favor of another long, protracted battle there.
Yeah, and about the statement, the fire and the fury, Rush Limbaugh, others have pointed to Harry Truman's statements back in ahead of the war there about being forceful. More on the president's impromptu news conference, a lot of other topics to handle.